both of us have Florida State at 8, or I have Florida State at 8. You have Florida State at 6. Is Florida State going to make any bit of a move here? I know that we're kind of down on them, but another team in Florida in the ACC here, are they potentially a sleeper team that could win this?
I just realized. Wait, so are you higher on? Did I mess that up? No, I'm higher on Florida State than you are. Okay, I almost mixed that up. Here's my thing with Florida State. I understand why it'd be really easy just to assume that this team is cooked and they can't win, they can't rebound. I think that Mike Norvell has shown us how he performs as a coach when his back is up against the wall. I know that we were critical of him for being really weird at media days, but you can tell.
You went all in, not me.
Well, a lot of the comments were like, "What are you guys talking about?" But there were a lot of other people that were saying, "Yeah, it was weird. Off. He seemed a little off. His vibe was very awkward."
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
But we gotta come on. We're not accusing him of doing cocaine, but we saw at the beginning of his time at Florida State, it was a really rough, awful start, really bad start. A lot of people did not think he was going to be the right man for Florida State, and it felt like they'd failed again at hiring. But eventually, he slowly built them back up, and it felt like the pressure of multiple bad seasons was what motivated him the most to really turn the ship and for them to be as competitive as they were in 2023 and 2022. I think I'm getting those years correct. I think that for how bad they were last year, it was enough of an eye-opener of what he can't allow to have happen this upcoming season. I know that there's a pretty big amount of roster turnover, but it's not as egregious, I think, as it was coming into last season. They still have some returning guys that are pretty impactful. I really like Darrell Jackson, who's a pretty massive defensive tackle. Just you don't get that type of size at defensive tackle in the ACC on most of these teams. And I really think that Deuce Robinson's going to be impactful for them at wide receiver / playing as a tight end for them. He's got the frame to do it. There is a really good chance that they at least win 8 games. I am not calling for Florida State to win the ACC. I'm not. But they are a 7.5 point win total team, and I think that they can
over at FanDuel.
That. Yeah, over at FanDuel.
Speaking of FanDuel, I guess I could just go ahead and say where they are. Florida State actually is not as low as you and I have them on this odds to win the conference. They are plus 3,100. It's a big odd, but we considering in that are still a little bit lower on them than most. Joe, they won 2 games last year. And you want me to say that they're going to come out here and win 6 more ball games? With Castellanos and the boys, like I put them at 8 just in the simple nature because here's the real truth about Florida State. I don't think anybody and their mama, whether you cover the team or you're just a college football fan, I don't think any of you know what to expect with any of this because of everything they had to do in the portal. You fire your entire staff and you're bringing a whole new staff in. You have no idea what to expect. I don't want to hear it. You don't. Joe, I do think for what it's worth, these teams like Cal, Stanford, Virginia Tech, they got more talent than them, even if they had 2 wins a season ago. Joe, they had more talent than those teams a year ago, and they fell flat on their face because they went full mercenary and their culture was fractured. More than the talent on the field, we got to pull back the layers of this onion and ask the question, what is their culture? Culture is a big word that gets thrown around in preseason hype and preseason talk. What is the culture? Is the culture good between the team? Joe, I saw kids buy out by week 4. They were out. They didn't want to be there. They didn't want nothing to do it. And I heard a lot of excuses from the people over at Florida State as to why that happened. No, you put your eggs in the basket of DJU and it crumbled. It crumbled. And you put your eggs in the basket of hitting in the portal again and it crumbled. You did it again. And you better pray to God that Thomas Castellanos can lead you to those 8 wins. Joe, he got benched a year ago. He got benched. So is he going to be that guy? I don't know. I put them in there at 8. But, Joe, I got to be real with you. I just said, okay, let's see what they can do. I like Gus Malzahn. I think he's a good coach. But, Joe, if I went in a coma today, knock on wood that I don't, but if I went on a coma today and then we wake up and we pick this show back up in December and you say, Blake, they were god-awful. It's the least surprising thing to me in the country. It really is. How are you going to rebuild from that? Joe, I don't know. I think 8 wins, fine, go right on ahead. But what are we talking about? I mean, some of the guys that you were talking about returning, these are some of the guys that Florida State people were saying were bought out. That didn't have the fight and energy. That's going to change now. You start losing again. So listen, they got a tougher schedule, I guess. They got Bama in week 1. And Joe, I got to be real with you. I don't anticipate them to win the game. You keep that game within 14 points, okay. Yeah, you might be able to be middle of the pack. But I think I look at teams like Louisville. I look at teams like SMU. I look at all these Georgia Tech. You got Duke up there, which I think is crazy, but you do. Joe, what are we discussing here, really? I mean, having them 8th in the ACC should be a slap in the face.
You're saying that having them being projected that low should not be an accomplishment?
No, it's not remotely close to being an accomplishment.
It's obviously not. It's not, and it shouldn't be framed as such.
Well, it's an accomplishment because you won 2 games last year. I mean, like, sure. So we're moving the goalposts now is what I'm hearing.
Well, but you kind of have to. Nobody should expect the team to win 2 games and then immediately jump to a 10-win football team. That nobody
in like Indiana.
Very different circumstance, though. Very, very, very different circumstance. No, very rarely can something like that happen. I think, though, if they do turn around, they win 8 ball games, that is an accomplishment. It's not something to take a crapload of pride in, but when you have multiple years of building and you thought you were going to have sustained success, the massive drop-off causes you to have to reset expectations. To think your team's just going to win 10 games the upcoming year.
But Joe, I mean, if we're doing a complete reset, then 6-6 has got to be their goal. 7-5 has got to be their goal. Let me not go 6-6. You got to have a winning season, brother. I mean, listen, again, I don't care what anybody says. Joe, they might win 9 games for all we know. How in the world can you make a determination on them? There's no way. There's none. I'm sorry. Florida State fans, I know that you think that I hate you. I don't hate you. I really don't. But we told you this DJU move was going to be atrocious, and it was atrocious.
Yeah. But that is one of those ones from last year that it's disappointing how right we were about it. Like,
no, it's not.
We couldn't have been more right about that.
No, it's not, because we took a level of shit from them all off season last year, telling them wasn't.
We're still taking shit. We're still taking shit from them. They comment on everything. They think that I'm an LSU fan, and they say that you two, this is what the comments are. They say you two guys are just salty that Florida State beat you twice, and it's like, one, that's not even true. And like, why would there be saltiness when your team had 2 wins last year? And second of all, I'm not an LSU fan. I'm not an LSU fan, so it doesn't matter.